somebody said to me some time back, they said, Joe, do you know something, man, it's an obsession with you. I said, I think it becomes, you get so deeply involved in it, and you believe so much in it that you know, you can't stop. You just have to keep going. She's out there. I know she's there. They have to be there. So one particular case is more consuming than the rest of them for me. One is a very, very personal case. One is something that that I have to complete. See, everybody was out there searching for people who went missing today. You know, there's diving groups out there searching for people, there's search and rescue groups out there, but Ireland didn't have a proper missing persons organisation that dealt with all the old cold cases. So I focused on the girls that went missing back in the early 90s, mid-90s. And what I did was I went out and I started searching for them. You know, like I was often in bed at night, and next thing all of a sudden I'd wake up and I'd think about her and the tears would run down my eyes for no reason. Like I was often sitting at home watching television, and I'd go 4 hours drive from Cork just to be there. Do nothing else, but just to be there. And come home for another 4 hours drive back down. Like, what's that? I reckon that's nuts. You know how it started? It started with Rin Tin Tin. You don't remember Rin Tin Tin, no? Yeah, that's how it started with Rin Tin Tin. Rin Tin Tin, I used to sit up on the side of the chair with my father and watch Rin Tin Tin. Absolutely, with that little blondie-headed young guy that was the corporal in the army. He was an honorary corporal. Absolutely super. I used to love that show as a child. I could train dogs, get dogs to do things from a very, very, very early age. It was like a spiritual connection, like a connection that I could communicate with him. I could get him to do things just sometimes without even talking to them, just by being in their presence. They would work with me. And they do listen, they do have feelings, they do have emotions. And you know, it's important for people, for humanity, to identify that in all animals, not only dogs, but all animals.
Hey. Good boy. Hey.
To properly train a cadaver dog, you need human remains. Human bone, human tissue, blood. We did find human remains 4 inches underneath the ground in an area that was approximately 70 years old. If there's human remains in a wooded area, what can happen is the gases from the remains rise. As scent rises, the trees act as a canopy. If you visualize scent as a balloon and it's just blowing around in the wind, so when it rises, it can get caught in the trees and it can drop and it can spread out. And the scent just blows and it gets caught in a corner. There's a huge possibility that the dog will hit on that corner first and there's nothing there. And the human remains could be 20, 30, 40, 50 yards back or meters back. That's how I like to visualize, and so I have to look from the laws of physics as well. From the time you get the information from a family member, and they say to you, we believe from what we know that there's a possibility that our daughter or our sister could be at this location here. A lot of the times I'd know as soon as I get to the place whether there was something there just by being there. Like, a lot of the time you can get a feeling of a negative feeling, a bad feeling that you'd want to heave, get sick, or other times there's total peace and calmness. I don't get tangled up in the emotional side of it. I can't, because I have to do a job. So I distance myself from the families. The very first search, it was a very woody area, so we had to run the dogs a number of times, and that's been maybe up to 10 times. But within that 10 times, 2 dogs hit on 2 areas within that wooded area. And in one specific part of the woods, there was an old cottage, approximately 200 years old, which drew my attention because half of the floor within that old cottage was concreted. So the dog Patch went in and he indicated on the centre of the floor. So what I did then was took him out, we went back in again. A day or two after, again he hit on the centre of the floor. So what we decided to do was we decided to dig. Finding, in any case, finding forensic evidence, which would have been a slash hook or a shoe or a piece of bone or a t-shirt buried 1.5 foot under the ground, wasn't sufficient enough to get a warrant. The guards informed us that it wouldn't be easy to get a warrant without basically having human remains. The evidence that we did find wasn't enough to warrant a warrant. So at that stage, we suddenly realised that, you know, we came to terms with, look, we need to find the body, and we're on our own here until we do find the body. I did it the way I should have done it. I did it the right way. I went in, you know, I found what I thought would have been evidence, because when I worked in America and I worked in the UK, that would have been evidence enough to get a warrant and to go in and to do a search. But here in Ireland, that didn't seem to be the case. You know, I just don't know why they just don't go in there. You know, you have a 200-year-old cottage. We found what we found. Half the floor is concreted. Why is half the floor concreted? You know, another area that in the same place, there's an imprint of a grave. There's an imprint of a grave about 2.5 feet wide by 5-6 feet in length. Search it. 2 dogs basically hit on that one specific spot. And nobody's gone in there. Nobody. You know, I just don't understand it. We really need to look at things in this country. It would not happen in America. Would not happen in the UK, in England. But why is it happening in Ireland? We really need to look at this. We really need to look into this. Why is it happening here? If this was America, and I know myself, if they would have had that place tore apart within a month. They wouldn't have even second guessed it. They would have went in and tore the place apart. But no, here, no. I think I'm so certain she is where she is.
you want to take a break?
Yeah, give me 2 minutes.
Yeah.
There's not a trace of anything, there's no traces of clothing, there's no trace whatsoever of these girls. None. You know, she's out there. I know she's there, they have to be here. But like, she has a huge effect on me. You know, I think it's the fact that I'm so close to her.
If you could speak directly to her now, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that I found her. And I'd bring her home.
Or you just keep trying?
No, I never give up. Gotta keep searching. Because I know I'm close. And I will bring her home. I do believe that the girls are driving me. I do believe that they're the force behind this. You know, I do believe that they want to be found. But I do believe that there's an outer force as well that's preventing it. But what I do is I'm fighting through that outer force and I'll get by it.